Hi everyone, well today we're going to review a new bottle. It's one I have not had in a few years. When I had it, I was okay with it, but sometimes the story of what goes into a bottle and the story about a bottle is just as important as the liquid inside, and I thought this was worth another shot. We're going to review Legent Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, partially finished in wine and sherry casks, 94 proof. So this one was first released in 2019, and I think I actually got this bottle very soon after it was released. It actually showed up on the shelves in New Jersey pretty quickly after that. I think the label was slightly different. I think the old label I think was actually cooler, but I always thought this was a cool looking bottle. In any event, I think this is, when I had it, I was okay with it. Also at the same time, my palate was not as matured as it is now. That's not to say I'm going to think anything differently of it, but this is the deal. So it was released in 2019. It's an interesting story with this because it is a collaboration between American distilling and Japanese blending. What you have is I think it was 2014, Suntory bought Jim Beam, and they wanted to do a collaboration between these two great distilleries. And that's where this thing came about. So it was kind of a collaboration of the two. What you have is Fred No, who is the seventh generation master distiller of James B. Beam Distilling Company, and Shinji Fukuyo, master blender of the House of Suntory, came together to make this. And basically, what you have is it's a collaboration of both brands, of Suntory and Beam. As a side note, it's got the Beam mash bill of 77% corn, 13% rye, 10% malted barley, and this is kind of what goes into it. Basically, you have Legend begins with fully matured bourbons distilled by Fred No at Jim Beam. It's approximately assumed to be, it's not age dated, but it's in the range of about 5 years, from what I understand. Then at that time, it is some of the bourbon is aged in ex sherry casks, and some of it is aged in ex red wine casks. I think it's maybe 60 from what I read. I'm not sure if it's even, or maybe 60% wine, 40% sherry. And then finally, that's the part with Fred No. And then Shinji Fukuyo then basically, from what I understand, blends two finished bourbons with additional unfinished bourbon. So basically, Fred No does the distilling, and then Shinji Fukuyo does the blending, puts this thing together. So that's the short version of it. I am anxious to retry it. I'm saying straight out, when I did try it the first time, even though my palate was not matured, I was okay with it. I think I got to like it more as I went on, but I have tried so much stuff since then. And it's interesting because I haven't seen many reviews of this on TikTok. Maybe that's the very reason, but I just think this is an interesting story. It's an interesting collaboration between East and West, and I think it's a very original thing that that Jim Beam did with the House of Suntory. So I'm going to spin this around. I want you to see this bottle because this is very cool. I want you to see the cork, and then we're going to get into it. Here we go. So here you have the front of the bottle. It's got both signatures of both Fred No and Shinji Fukuyo, a bold Kentucky bourbon by master distiller Fred No, blended and refined by chief blender Shinji Fukuyo. Right over there it says, two true legends, one truly unique bourbon. The cap is very cool. It says Kentucky on top, Japan on the bottom. And then if you want to pause this, you can read what's on the back. And you can better see the cork, Kentucky, Japan, and some rare wording inside the cork. Two legends, one bourbon. Okay, I think for the cork alone, this is worth a buy. That is one of the cooler corks that I've seen. I always love nice, thick cork here. It's got some substance here, and it actually has wording on the top and on the inside. I have not seen that. Very cool. The bottle is cool. Let's get into the liquid. Now, you'll notice it's very dark. Now, this is a 5-year-old, approximately, of the unfinished part, and supposedly maybe a few months in the ex-sherry or ex-wine casks. So you call it maybe the whole thing, start to finish, maybe 5.5 years, but the real main part of it is the 5 years. It's not dark from that part. It's obviously, in my view, dark from the finishing process. and it'll probably takes on some of that ex sherry cask, ex wine cask. So I think you're definitely going to have that. In my head, I'm going to be thinking of, the Angel's Envy finished in the red wine casks. That one, but they have the 86 proof. I just not that long ago did the 110 proof, so I'm going to be having that in my head as far as that. Now I know there's a lot of people out there. Some people just don't like finished bourbons. Some people don't like bourbons finished in red wine cask or anything like that. I have a different opinion. I'm like, it depends on the specific one. There are some that I might not like, some I will like. I treat each one individually. Now, as before I get into this, as a wine lover and as somebody who was into wine even before I was into bourbon and whiskey, I kind of, if it's done right, I kind of like that. I recall on this, again, it's a long time ago. I'm just going to make believe I never had it. I'm going to do this fresh. So, but that's what gives it, I believe, this dark color. And I believe there's also a healthy balance between the sherry and the wine cask also used too. So let's get into the nose. That's a rich nose. Now, I'm not getting that. There's a certain kind of a beam profile. This is definitely takes on some of those casks that it's finished in. I definitely noticed that. I definitely get a wine sherry type nose. Very it's pleasant on the nose. Give us a taste. Cheers. Okay, well, when you give it a taste, that beam taste. Now, when I say that beam taste, there's a lot of great beam products. What I'm talking about is, I'm thinking of these beams, white beam. There's a certain profile that's coming through, but it's also tapered with this finishing. I'm trying to see if it has that same thin taste like these do, the ones I just showed you, the white label and the black label, because I think basically the bourbon that's used here, I think is somewhere between the two, between the white label and so this one is the black, would say maybe 6.5 years. This is clearly 7, and the white is, I think, about 4. I'd say the 5-year, the bourbon, the base bourbon that's used in this, the unfinished, is somewhere in the middle of those. So I think you have that. You do taste the definite influence of the casks is finished in. I think having had Angel's Envy and a few others, I think they may taste a little more sophisticated on those. Now that's the base is an 86 proof on that. This is 94 proof, but I had the 110 proof. There's a similarity to it, but I think they may do that. It just may taste a little differently with that. But I think this gives it an improvement to just the basic white label or that. But I am going to actually compare this with that also. So I think I might like this actually a drop more than when I had the last time. But the deal is this: it's not super pricey. New Jersey, it's I don't know, the mid to high 30s. And you basically have it's a unique bottle. I just have not seen a lot of people review it on TikTok, and I didn't know if I'd come back to it. I figured, I'd give it a shot. I really think this is kind of a cool story, aside from just what's in here, and it is a cool collaboration. So you got East meets West, American distilling, Japanese blending. So I'd say this is okay. I don't think it's anything off the charts. But I do think you get a nice mix of bourbon, and you do definitely taste the cask. I think it's pleasant. I don't think, for the price, it's 94 proof. It's nothing insane. If you're curious, I'd say give it a shot. I'm not going to say this is gonna knock your socks off, but at the same time, it tasted far worse. So this is actually a pretty cool bottle. So cheers. Take care. Thanks for watching.